Welcome to the Crawford Lorenzo Home Selling Team Buyers Seminar, Mastering Real Estate. I am John Hodorovich. This time around, we talk about what it means to have a wonderful attorney on your side as a buyer. And with me is Kristen Klics. Kristen, we have used her through so many different transactions. She is great. She's loved by the team. Kristen, thank you so much for joining us here on this seminar. So what firm are we? We're actually here in the office. What firm do you work with, Kristen?
Well, thanks for having me, John. I'm here with Fein, Kahn and Shepard, and we're right here in Morris County. And this is 6 Campus Drive.
Okay, right here in Parsippany, and our office is Keller Williams Metropolitan. We're about 10 minutes away in Morristown, so we're really, really close. If you have to stop by our offices, or if you have to go to Kristen's and you're doing a deal here in Morris County, we're right here in the heart of it, okay? So for those people who don't know, who are first-time home buyers, really, New Jersey is an attorney review state, okay? So what does that mean?
Well, that means that within the first 3 days of having a fully signed contract, you want to get into attorney review. Have an attorney review that contract.
Okay.
Once that first letter goes out, then you're in attorney review. So some people have the misconception that attorney review only lasts 3 days. It actually lasts as long as it takes for both parties to agree on everything.
Okay. And there's contingencies within that, right? So someone within that review process can go, nah, I don't think this is really good, and kind of remove themselves and end that transaction, correct?
Yes. So during the attorney review period, while we're in attorney review, either side could cancel for any reason.
Okay, for any reason.
Any reason. If a buyer has a change of heart, they could let me know, send a cancel letter. Seller has a change of heart, or seller has a better offer, they could cancel.
Okay. Now, I know in the real estate process, this is like step 4 or 5, because obviously you want to get pre-approval first, then you find a good real estate agent, then you go search for the house, and then you put the offer in. But when should a buyer acquire the attorney? When should they know, like, okay, this is the attorney that I'm going to use?
Anytime before you sign a contract, or even after you sign. What you're signing when you're using a realtor, you're signing a realtor form contract. So paragraph 35 of the realtor form contract has an attorney review provision. Mm-hmm. So even if you sign that contract, changes can be made in attorney review. Okay. So I have some people call me when they start looking for a house, and I have some people call me, oh, my offer just got approved, I need an attorney.
Yeah, and obviously from the realtor side, I like to have all my ducks in a row, right? So I want to know, obviously, if we're going to go see a house, you have to have your lender already, in your mind and who you're using. But at the same time, I know that real estate happens quick, fast, and in a hurry. So the longer you take to find an attorney, the more likely that seller is going to go, okay, you're not serious, I'm going to go to someone else. So you really want your ducks in a row and go find a good attorney, right? So what should a client expect from you in the real estate transaction as an attorney?
Well, so I think that one of the most important jobs for an attorney is just to explain what you're getting into. Explain that contract, explain what it means. And you made a good point. It's such a rush when you're putting that offer in, and especially in this environment where it is such a seller's market, everyone's putting those best and finals in. Sometimes buyers don't understand exactly what they're agreeing to, okay, and what it means to waive appraisals and waive inspections. And
that's huge. That's huge language that can make or break, right? Because someone can say, oh, I'm going to waive an inspection, which I would never do. The two of us would never inform our clients to waive an inspection. And then they could end up buying, the house version of a lemon, and all of a sudden they're in an extra $100,000 or so that they weren't aware of. So the attorney really makes sure that the client is protected. That's our job, to make sure that this goes smoothly for you and that you're safe in this transaction, because this is going to be your biggest investment, right? One of your biggest investments, especially if you're an investor, you understand. So now on the flip side, what do you expect from them?
If you're using an attorney, just listen to what we're saying. And I know you're probably hearing things from everybody, the lender, your parents, everybody is telling you what to do when you're buying a house. But there's things, if I explain the contract that they're that you are, by waiving an appraisal, you are agreeing to pay that purchase price no matter what the bank tells you that's worth. That's what the contract says. So we need to change that language in attorney review now, before you get out of contract, and now you're stuck with that.
Okay, so attorney review process done and over with. We are now what we call under contract with the house. Throughout that point, you should now have done or about to do your inspections, right? So when inspections are done, and I've got a deal right now that I'm actually working with you on. We just had our inspections done, and I'm going to go over the buyer what they want done. What is your role in that process now that we've had inspections?
So what I do is we look through the contract, we look through the inspection report, and we pull out what we think are items that you should be asking for. I've had situations where buyers don't ask for asbestos removal, which I think is really important, especially if it's exposed. So we go through and put our list together. I always ask the buyers to send me an email with their list, because I want to know what the buyers want.
Right.
So we put a letter together. I highlight anything that the buyer might not have mentioned. And then I also highlight items that the buyer is asking for that they're not supposed to be asking for. A lot of times in attorney review, we limit a buyer's inspections to the major items. So if you're asking for something like fixing a doorknob, that's not something that we suggest you ask for, or when there's bigger things like a replacement of a septic.
Yes.
So so I highlight everything that you might want to double think or rethink, and then we send the letter out to you. We go over everything together and send it out.
Yeah, we're obviously now in a seller's market here in 2024. So some of the language that I'm writing with buyers is general inspections will happen, and then we're going to limit everything to the structural, the mechanical, the environmental, and the safety. So you ask for the doorknob, don't expect it. Sorry.
And sometimes what I find is that it gets the seller a little annoyed when you start asking for the little things. So let's focus on the big things. This way, there's more of a chance that a seller will actually do them. Okay.
So we've done all that, and I believe it's called an escrow letter, right? You send that over to the sellers and to the seller's attorney, and they go, this is what we want.
The inspection request letter.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then the seller's attorney, they'll go over that with their client and come back with an offer. Sometimes they agree to just give a credit. Sometimes they come back and say, we'll do X, Y, and Z. So it's all a negotiation at that time.
Okay. Now, you're obviously not a title company, but we still have to kind of mention title regarding attorneys, because you guys do order the title search, right?
Yes.
So go over that. What does that mean for a buyer?
So title, we order the title, and what title insurance is, it gives you insurance that you are able to pass marketable title. You're able to sell this property to your next buyer. So the day you close, everything is clear up to that point. And then if you have a mortgage, that mortgage becomes a lien on your property, on your title. So what the title company does is they do their searches. Anything that comes up in a title search, we want that cleared by the seller before the closing.
Right. So if a seller's done something to the house and there's an open permit with the town, that's got to get closed, because we don't want the next buyers responsible for that. That's not your responsibility.
Yeah, and that would come up in the Oprah request.
Right.
So that's another thing. In my initial conversation with all my buyers, I explain the importance of your due diligence. You want to find out everything there is to know about this property before you close, because once you close, the problems are yours. Right.
And obviously the attorney can and will probably end up filing their own Oprah, but real estate agents, file your own too. Just saying.
And I always I tell my clients to file them, because there are things that the buyer might want to do with their property that you and I wouldn't know about.
Right.
You don't know. Maybe they plan on putting a fence up as soon as they close. Well, does that town allow a fence? How high could the fence be? Are you on a corner? If you're on a corner, you probably can't have a fence. So that's something I have my clients send out the Oprah request with anything that any future plans they might have.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a variance, but at least it's a beginning step to knowing what you can and can't do.
Yeah, we're not mind readers, so if you want to remove that wall in the kitchen, you either have to tell us or you can actually do your own research, which we still encourage. We'll obviously do our due diligence, but please also do your own research. Okay, we've hit closing.
Well, one important thing when it comes to title, survey. So I always think of a survey as an additional inspection. They're so important because the survey is going to tell you that you actually own what you think you're owning. You might go to a property and see a fence up. That fence might not coincide with the property line. So surveys are very important.
Yeah, and here in New Jersey, obviously, we have a long historic history. So I know on one of my family's houses, we own the property, but the previous owner built a house for his daughter right next door. Someone else owns that property now, and now that house is 3 feet over on ours. So that sort of thing can and does happen here in New Jersey. That's just, it's one of those things.
And there, of course, there's always a way to fix it, an easement, whatever, but you want to know before you buy that you don't have that.
Okay, so the big day, closing. What does that mean for an attorney?
So day of closing, by that point, by the time we get to closing, everything is pretty much done and we're ready. We're ready to sit down. So before the closing, I send you the closing statement. We go over it together and let you know how much to bring to the closing. Then we sit down at the closing table. We go through your mortgage package. You sign your closing statement and it's done. Okay.
So obviously, sometimes people are going to get hand cramps because they got a lot of paperwork to sign that day. There's a big stack. Just how long does that normally take for?
I would say now it's pretty streamlined. I would say in probably less than an hour, usually like a half an hour.
Okay. So do's and don'ts. What do you see people doing that they shouldn't be doing?
During the whole process?
Yes.
One big thing you don't want to do is set that moving truck up because closing dates sometimes change. And especially if you're getting a mortgage, there might be a delay. So if you are all ready to move on that day, sometimes it doesn't happen, and then you have to arrange for another moving day. On that same line, locking in interest rates. You never want to lock in for that exact closing date because things happen. Sellers might have a delay on their side. So if you lock in on an interest rate, then you're paying an extension fee, and we can't always count on a seller to pay for that.
Yeah. And obviously each transaction is different. Someone else may have a place to go in the interim when they've moved out of the house, and they don't have to kind of worry about that stuff. But every real estate transaction is different. So please understand that. Kristen Klics, thank you so much for joining me here. And we will see you next time here at the Crawford Lorenzo Home Selling Team Buyers Seminar. Next time, we are talking home inspection. So we're going to have an inspector here with us, not in Kristen's office, but probably in ours. So we will see you next month in July for that. So stay tuned also for our seller seminar later this month that may just include one of our favorite attorneys. We'll see you next time here at the Gordon Crawford Lorenzo Home Selling Team Buyer Seminar.